Let's bring in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent, right away to help set up the action today. All right, KG, set the stage for us, the big picture take on markets, especially I know you were across the shifting sands all day yesterday through this morning.
Yeah, we are seeing a positive move in the S&P 500 this morning, and that's not out of the ordinary, especially when you see that volume difference for the S&P 500 up minus down volume. We got fairly close to a 2 standard deviation move to the upside, and usually when that does occur, we usually do have a follow-through day, and that seems like that's taking place right now. I think if you're looking at the technicals on the S&P 500, you're looking at that 20-day moving average acting as your area of resistance, and that's pretty much where we are trading at right now if you're looking at the futures contracts. Obviously, the market's a little bit more optimistic. The tariffs are going to be put on hold and they're not going to go into effect. That's obviously going to be a positive. But I think we are still seeing maybe some pockets of the market, especially if you're looking at the treasury space and the dollar. You're looking at a market that's still trying to figure out what this framework of a deal is actually going to be and if Denmark is going to accept it. So we are not seeing the dollar kind of reverse aggressively the move that we saw over the last 2 days where it did move to the downside. And also yields are still relatively higher than when we started this whole process. So a nice little bounce back. You'd like to see some broad participation, but I would be cautiously optimistic where we are at right now, especially with volatility kind of crushing to the downside leading up to the last couple of weeks in January as well as February. February seasonally is a little bit difficult here, so cautiously optimistic here. Nice little start to the day, but let's see if the market actually sells into some of this strength.
Okay, and let's catch people up on where things stand with tariffs. It seems like it's kind of the familiar playbook. Not everybody's on Truth Social. Not everybody watched President Trump's speech. Where do things stand now?
Yeah, so it appears that President Trump is, spoke with General Mark Rutte, which is the NATO Secretary General, and they have a framework of a deal that could actually expand the presence of not only NATO but U.S. forces within Greenland. This also could include the expansion of the Golden Dome in Greenland as well, and then potentially looking at mineral rights. Now, once again, we have not gotten this confirmed yet, but that's really kind of the framework that the U.S. at least is kind of working under at this point in time, which is why we are seeing the pause in the tariffs. I think there's still a little bit more of a concern about the long term when it comes to EU positioning in U.S. equities as well as U.S. treasuries. There does appear to be maybe some thought that we could see maybe still this divestiture from U.S. assets, maybe not all, but maybe a little bit. And that's probably, once again, one of the reasons why we saw this about face, this taco trade that we kind of talk about on, it seems like every 3 months or so, that kind of took into effect here. So that's the framework that we have right now. I'm sure we're going to get more details today and tomorrow, and we'll see how the market actually responds to not only the comments from the president in the U.S., but also the comments coming from Denmark and the EU. I think that's really going to be important.
Okay, we'll hear from Jay Wood shortly with thoughts on the taco trade because I know he has some. But let's get into the latest in Davos before we dive into GE earnings. You had Jensen Huang, Nvidia CEO, speaking there, and he sounds, I suppose he would sound optimistic about AI. But what are some of your takeaways here as it pertains to Nvidia and beyond?
Yeah, he's still optimistic about AI, obviously, right? That's a part of his business. He does believe that it's being taken as seriously as maybe some of the other critical infrastructure that we've seen evolve in the United States when you're looking at expanding the grid or even the railroads and things of that nature. So there's a heightened importance. He also addressed the fact that, obviously a lot of economists as well as traders, investors are concerned that a lot of this AI is going to take away from jobs or eat into jobs when it comes to growth here. But he is saying the AI boom is actually driving stronger demand for skilled trades like plumbers, electricians, construction workers, steel workers, for that matter. And they are also seeing wages for those roles actually rising very aggressively. So it's just a reallocation of resources and capital, really, when you're looking at the labor force. And he's really optimistic about that. And that growth can continue over the next couple of years. So he's not too concerned about everybody losing their jobs because of AI. It's just a readjustment or realignment, similar to what we saw, once again, in the telecom era, in the internet boom. We did see a readjustment, a generational shift, if you will, when it came to labor, and that also will have an impact down the road over the next 10 years, 20 years, where we do see, once again, maybe skilled trades kind of coming back into the forefront rather than maybe 4-year or 6-year degrees on the finance or liberal arts front.
Right. Okay, let's talk some of the earnings. Well, GE in particular, GE Aerospace. We got the latest results from them. Looks like a beat on the top and bottom line. What are some of your takeaways here?
Yeah, we're seeing the shares kind of gyrate here, a little bit flat to slightly negative about 5 minutes ago. So we're still kind of digesting these numbers, but they actually were fairly good. If you're looking at the adjusted earnings per share, they came in at $1.57. Street was looking for $1.43, and the adjusted revenue came in at $11.87 billion. Street was looking for $11.17 billion, around 20% growth on a year-over-year basis. And they did see and mark a $27 billion backlog of orders within the quarter for Q4. They're still optimistic when you're looking at the fiscal year 2026 EPS guide. They're guiding between $7.10 and $7.40. Street was looking for $7.11 here. And they just continue to talk about the fact that there is a shortage when it comes to narrow body engines, and that's really where they thrive. Not only there when they're coming to selling OEMs, but also maintenance and servicing those engines as well, which is a higher margin business. And that's something that they did see a lot of growth in. They say more than 70% of commercial engine revenue came from servicing those engines. So they are seeing a lot of strength. The backlog of orders is obviously a positive, and if Boeing and other airline and aircraft makers continue to see this ramp up or this refresh when it comes to current inventory, GE Aerospace is definitely going to be a beneficiary of that.
Okay, let's get your levels today on the S&P 500. What are you looking for to the upside and the downside?
Yeah, to the upside, looking at 69.40. To the downside, 68.50. Volatility continues to crush. We are seeing the VIX contract, especially if you're looking at the VIX curve, normalizing here a tad bit. Let's see how we test that 20-day moving average on the S&P 500. Do we actually accept, or do we reject it and move lower?
All right, thank you, KG. That is Kevin Green, our senior markets correspondent for the network.